Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. So I was perusing the various replay websites and went to gosugamers.net, and I went into their replay section and I found this absolute gem. I don't know the outcome of the match, but I know it's going to be good because at the 9 o'clock location you have Rhett as the red zerg. 6 o'clock location you have BratOK as the yellow terran. And if you guys are unfamiliar with BratOK and you're unfamiliar with Rhett, these are old school Starcraft vets. BratOK went really far in the TSL. He was an absolutely fantastic terran. Just really tore it up across the board. And you have him going up against Rhett. And Rhett went to Korea and he was really considered the best foreigner in the world for a good amount of time, at least in contention for it. It was him and Idra. Even back in the time when he came out of retirement with Nooney, you had guys like Artosis saying, yeah, he's going to be the best. And they were right. He played fantastically. Went to Korea, and unfortunately, I think what held him back there was, well, first of all, cultural barrier, but beyond that, he played Zerg versus Protoss. He played Zerg versus Terran, but ZVZ, he went Terran versus Zerg. And he was very, very good at that, but in Korea, you got to play ZVZ, and I think that really, really hurt him there. But he comes back home, gets in the best shape of his life after disappearing for a bunch of months. So big Rocky-style montage, and my assumption is he's in the best mental shape ever. I'm just going to say that outright to kind of boost it up. I'm a commentator. Let me tell my story. So in the best mental shape and physical shape ever. Fantastic. And he's making a shot at Starcraft 2, and he is going to be great, as is BratOK. As seen by this Overlord positioning, this is brilliant. If you kind of look here, BratOK has no idea that Overlord is right there. Oh, this is genius. So Rhett can see everything that's going on. Specifically, he's going to see that barracks. And let's presume that an SCV pulls out of this base and goes to scout. It's still not going to see that Overlord on that corner because it's going to be going across the low ground. So beautiful positioning, and I think right there it got kind of seen a little bit on that corner, but I don't think BratOK noticed, and it looks like he's building that supply depot. Just doing some normal stuff, and it looks like he didn't see because he didn't reposition that SCV scout as it's coming around. And I've actually neglected to put up my harvester count stuff. It looks like in the meantime Rhett has gone for a fast expansion. He also has that single drone just patrolling at the bottom of his ramp. You'll see a lot of Zerg players doing that just to keep an eye down here because again you don't have a lot of vision off that hatchery, and especially versus Terran because barracks are kind of free. Not barracks, bunkers are free. You can plant them and you get all your minerals back when you cancel them or when you salvage them. It can be very dangerous. I like how BratOK has positioned this initial Marine to just kind of hug this corner. So first of all, he could engage any Overlords, and additionally, if any Zerglings were kind of running along the low ground, he would also be able to catch them as well. Looks like he already has that Marine positioned there as well. Rhett has his natural expansion up and running, also has that spawning pool, and this is the first time that BratOK is seeing his base while that natural expansion is already up, which is a bad position to be in, particularly when you're on a macro-oriented map. You see that Zerg already has his expansion up and running, and let's see if it actually looks like he's going to go straight to factory. I thought he might go one racks into expansion, try to play the economic game, but actually going a starport first and building a Hellion to kind of throw Rhett off, it looks like initially. So a couple Marines on the ground, it looks like a Hellion as well. So what this initial Hellion to do, particularly if BratOK can deny some information for Rhett, it'll give Rhett the impression that he's in fact dedicating to more of a Hellion ground army and following up with an expansion to kind of hold that out. And it looks like Rhett building 2 queens at the natural expansion provide a little bit of defense. It looks like he also has a queen on his main, so still is going to have a little bit of anti-air, but if he uses that spawn larva a bit too much, he could still end up in a lot of trouble. And BratOK persistently scouting, checking that corner for Overlords, things like that. Looks like that Overlord might get caught out in the open field. The Hellion, and you can see Brat intentionally showing him his Hellion, and it looks like he is going to be able to slow that economy down a little bit with that Overlord kill, but intentionally showing him that Hellion, and it looks like you do have a spine crawl on that front door while he's simultaneously going air, also getting that tech lab up. So really, I like that play. It looks like a second Hellion is being produced while that natural expansion is also being taken, but might be able to catch Rhett out of position. And in the meantime, even if he isn't able to do a lot of economic damage, if he isn't able to take out a queen here, and I think, I'm not sure, but Brat might have seen both queens, so he might not dedicate to that air attack. Because usually when you go Banshee early, aside from taking out drones with cloak, it doesn't look like he's upgrading cloak, so maybe he did in fact see that. But usually you're looking to take out queens, things like that. But in the meantime, unfortunately for BratOK, Rhett is taking a huge economic lead. 33 harvesters to 24 right there. I'll switch to the production tab. Is in a fantastic position economically on a macro-oriented map. Like I said, already on his way to lair, already has 2 gas, actually 4 gas. They're going to go very gas heavy into the mid game. Let's see how he decides to equip it. Nice catch there by BratOK, denying information. And now it looks like, yeah, this Banshee is rallied to the natural expansion, so it's just going to provide defense. Brat already has that natural expansion up and running, but still economically you're going to have a huge gas count. And really what that's going to translate to is more Hydralisks, more Roaches, more Banelings, more Mutalisks here on the follow-up, depending on what tech. And it looks like we've seen Mutalisks initially to continue to pin Brat back in his base and provide a little map control. We have seen a lot of that from Zerg recently. It looks like Ret already scoping out this northern location, so maybe thinking about and kind of creeping it up a little bit, so maybe thinking about moving there once he has Hellions. A Banshee now out in the field is wandering forward, a Zergling coming from the opposite location. Let's see if BratOK is okay. It looks like Ret is going to be able to scout that expansion and see that, but in the meantime Ret not babysitting his queen on the front door, so loses that, which is devastating. And it looks like the Zergling is attacking forward, so losing one of those as well. And Brat is going to be able to run that Banshee out, but not before drawing some blood there. First blood, getting that queen taken out, which is actually pretty detrimental, but not so horribly detrimental for Ret, just because look at that harvester count. Huge harvester lead, huge gas lead, and he's going to take that expansion to the northern location. And he has this expansion here scoped out with just that Zergling. And it looks like some additional barracks being built, and it looks like a big marine kind of follow-up, so I think Brat is expecting the Mutalisk play to follow this up, also getting a medevac to help cope with that. Hellion drop at the main, and actually not a lot there to defend for Ret, but beautiful defense, able to throw a queen up as well, some Zerglings to just sacrifice, blockade those Hellions out, and Brat actually having to retreat, and very nice defense by Ret. I've got to say, he could have lost a lot there, but instead only took really what I would consider to be minimal damages comparable to what he should have taken, really, when it comes down to it, considering how minuscule his defense was. But that did help Brat take down a couple harvesters there and even things up economically. But now he has those Mutalisks out in the air, so wow, beautifully timed by Brat, I have to say as well, just before those Mutalisks are out in the field. I'm going to see a little bit, and you should see a big harvester boost here immediately to follow this. Already 7 drones being produced to follow this up. It looks like Brat does have some nice defensive posturing. He's got a lot of turrets out in the field, and he does have a couple Marines, a handful of Marines out to help defend, but he's still pinned back. He's still not in a position to take any additional expansions, but at least he doesn't have to worry about his what he has getting really taken out. It looks like he's getting that stim pack upgrade. He's getting the Corvid reactor. I'm actually not even sure what that is. Corvid reactor, what is that? Is that on the, is that the energy upgrade? I think that's the Raven. Yeah, so that's the Raven energy upgrade. I apologize. It's just kind of niche. So, wow. Okay, Raven energy upgrade leads me to believe we are going to see some Hunter Seeker missiles and level 1 weapons alongside. And we'll see if that pays out. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work out for Brat, just because Ret looks like he's sticking to Baneling Spire. So the Mutalisks are going to have a hard time with the Hunter Seeker missiles, but the Banelings are not. And currently, just the way Brat is building, he's going very, very Marine heavy. And right now, Brat has nothing for those Banelings. Absolutely nothing. Although it looks like there is an armory being planted. Let's see if we're going to see a quick drop attack. Looks like Brat is kind of positioning as though he wants to do that. In the meantime, looking at the harvester count again, actually not as bad as I thought it would be, but still 1 expansion up, a significant gas lead there for Ret. He's going to need it for all of the Mutalisks and Banelings and actually next tier tech that he's going to want to build. But in the meantime, looks like Brat is starting to scout across the 3 o'clock location. But in the meantime, Brat way behind economically, still hasn't taken his 3rd. I don't see him even posturing to take his 3rd base. A little bit of a defensive bunker on the front door, and it looks like those Mutalisks are in position to absorb any sort of attack, any sort of drop that might have been moving out. Really, things are even right now, but as far as army count goes, but I do expect Ret to take a big lead here in the next couple minutes.